going to start with an analogy. How many people play tennis? Oh, maybe 20% of the group. That's great. Wish I'd brought my tennis racket. So I play tennis. I didn't start playing till I was 29, so I've been playing a few years since then, but I grew up playing baseball, other sports, football, neighborhood soccer, basketball. So I just got a bunch of friends together at that time in my life, and we'd play tennis every Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock and then go drink beer. And I was better at drinking beer than I was playing tennis, but it was all fun. And then I decided I wanted to be a little more competitive at it and play in some USTA leagues and things, so I started taking lessons and found everything I did about approaching tennis I did wrong because it was baseball or other sports activities. All my muscle mental models were wrong, and I started taking lessons. So one thing I wanted to be able to do in playing tennis is, if you watch the pros play, they have this great follow through on their shot and finish their shots way up over their shoulder, drives the ball hard. And I'm not a small guy. I thought I should be able to hit the ball hard, but people smaller than me hit the ball a lot harder. So I kept trying to do that, and I finally asked my tennis instructor, how do you do that? And he said, well, it's all about footwork. And of course, tennis is a lot about footwork. If you want to finish hard, you have to turn sideways, move your foot, approach the ball right, and then you'll naturally follow through to do that. So the learning of that and related to this is, so if you want to change your behavior and get a result, it may not be your first thinking on where you go to do that. And so I'm going to talk about starting with the end in mind and building your own requirements. So if we want to improve asset management, we have to start day one. We have to have a continuous handover approach through the project. You can't wait till the last 90 days of the project and begin deciding how to hand it over. So if we're going to get better at asset management, we need to take advantage of that time up front to describe what that would be. Okay, so these will be my takeaways. I'll give you a little bit about the Fiatech mission. How many people know what Fiatech is and what we do? Oh, not very many, maybe 10%. I'll give you a little bit about our mission. I'll talk about opportunities and capital projects facilities, examples of industry advancements, and the benefits and values that come from that, and then future advancements across the capital project lifecycle, which drives you to asset management improvement. So Fiatech's mission is to drive efficiency and productivity improvement, and to do that by advancing technology and innovative practices. It's not the group to work with if you want safe environment to be in. We want to cross barriers, do things in new ways, come up with new methods and approaches. We don't want to get better at what we did yesterday. We want to do things in a better way than they've ever been done before. It's a very highly innovative, advanced group with bright, brilliant people that we're fortunate to have as members. Our members are owners, EPCs, and stakeholders, so anyone in the range of delivery, planning, delivery, operations is welcome, encouraged, and participate. And we have participants across that range, and academics and suppliers and software companies. So we are an industry research and development group. We are a very tiny R. So mostly development. So we don't want to do research. There are a lot of research groups out there. We want to take emerging technology, get it developed and implemented, and driving value for our members. So it's develop, demonstrate, and deploy, and enable member implementation. So we have over 100 members and partners across the range of industry stakeholders. So today I'm going to talk about start with the end in mind. So we look at the project value adding cycle, and it goes through new facilities, retrofit, updating of existing facilities, and eventually closure and legacy. Throughout that, opportunity to grow value every step, and I'm going to look at how you do that from the beginning. Oh, it looks better up there than it does down here. This is the same chart that Deb had, and I only have 2 repeats of Deb's slides, but she did a great job of talking through how members gain value in their project life cycle. I'm going to start with that 0.1%. So even though that's the tiniest part in the whole steps, It's where you determine a lot of the value you're going to gain throughout the whole life cycle. So your 20 years, 50 years of operations, whatever it might be for your facility, a lot of it gets set and determined in that very small part that you do up front to plan and establish your project. There's a lot of opportunity in the capital projects in facilities. Deb had a couple good slides about value to be gained in information management and value to be gained in value lost in the operation of facilities at $100 billion. There's a lot to be gained in the construction phase where I think Deb said no capital project can afford to take on new technology. So technology moves forward very slowly in our projects industry, and that's Fiatech's role for you to come to a group that can help de-risk that by sharing the development with other members and helping to move that forward. But we have huge opportunity on the capital side to make projects get built better and operate better, and we've been very slow to embrace the technology advancements. Here's a chart on the construction side of reasons why planned work is not done, and our group tends to focus on the top three of these. So it's about materials. Studies say 50% of a construction project is material. It drives 80% of the schedule. So if you want your construction project to go well, build a good materials management system, supply, sourcing, management, and delivery to the work face, and that drives your project schedule. And that's depending upon craft coordination and information, so they're all intrinsically linked around having materials, and a lot of attention to driving improvement in that space. And technology has a lot of opportunity for us there. Deb mentioned the Advanced Work Planning Information Management Project, research project study by CII said up to 25% increase in productivity. And it's coming around those three areas of productivity that we saw in the earlier chart, and potentially reductions of total installed cost in the 4 to 10% range. What Fiatech has worked on in this space is the information management area. So as a basic practice guide, CI has a good basic practice guide, but they came to us and said, well, we've created a good best practice here on methodology, but information management's not being leveraged. That's your space. Why don't you work on that space? And so we developed a project there. It was led by Shell and Chevron. Probably had 25 organizations participating in it. And they came up with this model representing what they're trying to do. And description that at the first in contracts, you have to specify what you want. Because at the beginning of a job, everyone has all these ambitions and aspirations, but then when the work gets underway, they retrench to the way they've always done it because the risks are high, schedule demands are high. So you have to put it in your contract up front. So this project built some contract language that is generic and framework and says, here's how you specify the information management you're going to get. And I agree with Deb's view. You should do this in a stepwise way. So it'd be great if the standards were aligned. You could do this in a full standards description way. Not there yet, even though standards work for us. They're not fully integrated. We're not as ready and robust to go apply them as we would desire, even after working on them for 10 years or longer. But you can specify what you want. So at least you get data information the way you want it when it's done. In my career, I worked on the London Olympics. I had the opportunity to manage the design of the Olympic Park in London and lived there for a couple of years doing that. It was 2006 to 2008. On our management team, we wrote the Building Information Management BIM requirements. It was before IFCs, and requirements were there. Required all our facilities to be done with information models for handover. That were going to 5 different jurisdictions, none of which had any information models. And they were delivered that way, and that helped that project finish under budget, unheard of in the Olympics. 0 change orders and a year ahead of schedule. So, defining things up front makes a difference. Certainly wasn't perfect, but it was far ahead what was occurring in the industry at the time. And then you have to get your people and work processes and technologies to align with that. So you have to write, process models, change your process, because in the end it's all about people and processes. It doesn't matter how good your technology is or how good your information is. If the people don't know to use it, don't follow to produce it, and you don't have a process that makes it happen efficiently, not going to be done. And on this project, we tested it and consolidated it around bill of materials and materials takeoff to demonstrate how that would be used so that it actually would follow through and gain value for it and build it into handover package. And so that information carried to the work packs in the job site and then carries over to handover. Oh, good. I didn't know how well that would project. I read the book Presentation Zen. How many people have read Presentation Zen? See, 4 of them, they're saying, Ray couldn't possibly have read it or he wouldn't have put that slide up there. Because Zen is about simplifying it. They say no more than 6 words per bullet, no more than 4 words per slide. So forgive me for this one. I packed a lot on here. Maybe it should be 6 slides. So this project has deliverables. You can see 4 of them up there. There are a couple more being followed on, produced, and supported by some leaders in the industry. And we're hearing, in our space, it's collaboration, work together, but competition because they're competing in different space. So people share information with us often confidentially, so we can't always attribute it to who that came from. But we're hearing 10 to 15% gains in productivity from applying this. And maybe it depends on your starting point or more to gain to get to the 25%. So significant benefit being achieved through the construction phase. So I mentioned the procurement as I was talking earlier in materials management. Studies show 50 to 60% of the cost and 80% of the schedule driven by materials management, and information management the key to improving that. We've also done some materials management projects using RFID technology, which our members now feel sort of an old technology already established, but I'd say it's probably only 20% penetrated in the industry, so still a newer technology. And Bechtel, they reported on the Curtis Island liquid natural gas project in Australia, which was, I think, a $12 billion project. They saved 8% of installed cost using RFID for materials management and our best practice productivity for materials management. So huge opportunity for savings in improving materials management and gaining the information to pass over to handover in operations afterwards. I jumped ahead. So I can skip this one and move us ahead time-wise. Our global materials one is really a project underway, and it's aimed at anti-counterfeiting, which causes big issues for the industry, not just in construction, but more so in maintenance and operations and safety. So our approach on anti-counterfeiting is to get birthing information from the vendors that's linked to the material with some type of RFID or QR code or something. So not only can you confirm that material was on the purchase order, but you can go back to the manufacturer or supplier and say, yes, I made that valve for your facility there, so that there's some linked tracking of that to avoid materials in place which are might reduce efficiency or cause safety and maintenance issues. This is from Debbie's co-worker, Barbara Meagle, in implementing the information management piece at handover with a forecast that they'll save $28 million a year in handover by using the methods of information management for this. And I'd say they'll save more on the maintenance side, a little harder to document by avoiding errors, having accurate, consistent information going into maintenance. Looking ahead a bit, talk about augmented reality for asset management. I think there are a couple other papers on that in this session, but as a forward-looking trend, I believe you're going to see this more and more in your facilities operation. It can only happen effectively if we have good information coming through the capital projects industry and that defined at the beginning, or you can take a step at handover afterwards to create it in what would be a more expensive way to get it. But this project was done with the nuclear industry, with EPRI. It involves Siemens and Microsoft. And if I can get, so it built a training approach for operation of facilities, using augmented reality with avatars to demonstrate the training method. I believe we'll see this a lot more coming into the asset management side of our operations. Oh, do you have my video there? Yes. No video. Okay. Well, the figure down here on the lower left shows the avatar here. I've got a video of how that was created using Microsoft Connect, so you can actually do the maintenance tasks that you want done, train people how to operate and activate that in this augmented reality environment. So, sorry that you don't get to see my video. We have an activity underway, Voice of the Owner, aimed at the start with the end in mind. It's out of our planning area initiative, and it's really going back to the foundation of Fiatech. Debbie mentioned she had been active in the Owners Forum, and the Owners Forum created the Fiatech organization back now 15 years ago. It was created with the Breakthrough Strategy Committee in CII, who found that breakthrough strategy at the time was not what Fiatech, or not what CII most wanted to be interested in. They wanted to be interested in best practices on how work is performed. So a combination of let's do things in new ways, different ways, and let's get the owner's requirements built into that was the foundation of Fiatech. And we, at the kind of maybe third quarter last year, created an owner's forum to really reinvigorate that and look at how do we build owners' requirements in at the beginning, in the planning phase, so they carry throughout, what's the owner's current methods and practices, and how can we change the industry to build improved ones for that. Oh, think back to augmented reality.
The energy industry is expected to go through some dynamics over the next couple of years, which will force them to be more innovative than they've ever been before. That led us to our collaboration with the Fiatech Consortia and the Electric Power Research Institute. They wanted to look at commercial off-the-shelf software that could be used to assist with the planning process for ALARA.
Currently, we can define tasks for the human to do in a very automated, predictable way, but these are based on kind of empirical observations of how people do things. And often our users need to explore things that have never been done.
So the benefit in having a 3D virtual environment is now you can do your planning on the computer rather than going down to the actual site.
That was a very nice fit to be able to use the Connect system as a very natural way to kind of define what the task sequence was that a person actually needed to go through in order to do the maintenance tasks within a facility.
So just a little quick snippet of what that project produced. I believe there are a huge opportunity on this in the operations side. You can take your best knowledgeable resources and leverage them across all of your sites. So for Dow, if they have a particular instrument they're having a problem with on a site, they wouldn't have to put someone on a plane and fly them to wherever that is, possibly globally, internationally. They could have that person in Cincinnati or Houston, and they could show them with this method just exactly what they need to do to address that, replace it, and it would be custom, bespoke for that particular event or instance. So it wouldn't have to be generic training that people now saw in an animated way. It could be real-time dialogue back and forth to demonstrate what to go do, so you could fix something right away rather than wait a day or two to get someone there and pay for that to happen. So reduce downtime for events that occur on sites, but there'll be many, many applications of this, and you're already seeing it coming forward from some of the leading software providers in the industry. The augmented reality space, I wanted to talk about that too. And so we have a group that's looking at in Fiatech of, okay, so we're not constrained within the box, okay? We're trying to think of how can you do things in enormously different ways. So they're thinking of what if you didn't do record drawings on projects? What if you did it all with some combination of laser modeling and photogram and photo imaging. So we have a project on modeling systems with photo imaging that might allow you to not use 3D drawings or use record drawings in construction. And I know again from my friends at Dow that they talk about how they try and keep their models updated, how they try to use them in maintenance. And maybe those are the wrong questions to be asking. Maybe we should say, what's the most useful information for maintenance? How can we get that out of construction? And maybe they'd rather have photo imaging of facilities and laser imaging. Okay, they're going to need some records because when they're doing a retrofit or an upgrade, they need engineering information, engineering details, but often the plant facility maintenance wants, just show me what that is so I can go work on it. So I think this whole space will change for us significantly over the next few years. So this is not a generation change, much faster than that. So think back ahead to the voice of the owner discussion that I was on. Here's organizations that are participating in our owner dialogues that we're having on Fridays. Oh. And here's some examples of discussions that occur and who that has led that, and I think it's a really powerful way to get at how do we start with the end in mind, how do we build in owner requirements. If we can get some alignment among owners over what those requirements would be, then we can reshape that for the industry, and those providers of design, engineering, procurement, construction, material can have some consistency about how they deliver high value to owners. Deb had a slide of sort of top technology areas we've identified. Kind of the next step after that is looking at, well, how do we work on those and what are the initiatives ongoing in Fiatech? And these are our top initiatives going into 2015. They're where, well, our members pick our initiatives because Fiatech's all about our members, and they're identifying the ones they feel have the most potential for some near-term change and significant benefit. They want step change benefit, not just little bits and pieces. And this is the second slide I had to repeat from Deb. So our conference is coming up in April. We have over 70 presenters and already have the highest amount of registration going into our conference that we've had in a year. So we hope to see you there. That's it. Thank you.